Hey everyone, so today we're talking about the tortilla. And it seems so simple, right? Just this humble, round flatbread. But trust me, the story behind it is this epic tale of chemistry, culture, and pure survival that goes back thousands and thousands of years. Let's dive right in.
Okay, so picture this. The Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés meets a representative of the Aztec emperor Moctezuma. And Cortés is, bragging about how rich his king is. But the Aztec emissary's response is just perfect. He says that his emperor, Moctezuma, uses a different spoon for every single bite. But see, Moctezuma's spoons, they weren't gold or silver. They were fresh, warm corn tortillas. He'd scoop up his food with them and then just eat the spoon. I mean, come on, that's not just a meal, that's a serious power move.
And that really gets to the heart of our story, doesn't it? This is about so much more than just food. The tortilla was the literal foundation of these incredible civilizations. We're talking the Maya and the Aztecs. So you have to wonder, how on earth did a simple, edible spoon end up building entire empires?
All right, so to really get the tortilla, we have to start with corn, or maize. For the peoples of Mesoamerica, this wasn't just some crop you plant in a field. It was sacred. I mean, their whole world, their very identity, was completely woven into this one plant.
Just look at this timeline. The sheer scale of it is just mind-blowing. The story starts way, way back, around 10,000 BCE. That's when corn was first domesticated from a wild grass. To put that in perspective for you, we're talking thousands of years before anyone even thought about building the pyramids in Egypt. Thousands of years. And people in ancient Mexico were already perfecting this food.
So, just how important was corn? Well, listen to this. In the Popol Vuh, which is the sacred creation story for the Maya, the gods try to make humans. First, they try using mud. That fails. Then they try wood. Fails again. It's only when they use corn dough, masa, that they finally succeed. So for these cultures, to be human was, quite literally, to be made of corn. It doesn't get more central than that.
But here's where we get to the real mystery. See, on its own, corn is actually not all that nutritious. So how did these massive civilizations not just survive, but absolutely thrive on a diet that was almost all corn? Well, they had figured something out. A brilliant chemical trick.
The big problem is a really nasty disease called pellagra. It's caused by a lack of niacin, which is vitamin B3. And here's the crazy part. Corn has niacin in it, but it's locked away. Our bodies just can't get to it. So when corn was brought over to Europe or became a staple in the American South, people got really, really sick. But the people of Mesoamerica, they never had this problem. So what was their secret?
The secret has a name: nixtamalization. It's an Aztec word, and honestly, it is the single most important innovation in this entire story. It's this incredible process where they figured out that if you cook corn in an alkaline solution, with things like lime water or even just wood ash, it triggers this amazing chemical reaction.
And the process itself is just beautiful in how simple it is. So you take your dried corn kernels and you soak and cook them in that alkaline solution. What this does is soften up that tough outer skin. Then you just rinse it all off, and that treated corn, which is now called nixtamal, gets ground into a fresh dough. And that dough is what we call masa.
So what does all that do? Well, check this out. It's a total game changer, nutritionally speaking. That nixtamalization process, it unlocks the niacin. Bam, no more pellagra. It also makes other important amino acids available. Plus, it massively boosts the calcium, thanks to the lime or ash, and it makes the corn way, way easier for our bodies to digest. This ancient science literally turned a pretty basic grain into a powerhouse superfood.
Okay, so the story takes this huge turn in the 16th century. The Spanish arrive, and this collision of the old world and the new world, well, it kicks off a whole new chapter and it creates a completely different kind of tortilla.
The local Nahuatl people, they had their own name for it, Tlaxcali. But when the Spanish conquistadors showed up, they looked at these little round corn things and thought, hey, those kind of look like the small omelets we have back in Spain, our tortillas. The name means little cake. And well, that's the name that stuck. It's how the Tlaxcali became the tortilla we know and love today.
And this is where we see a huge split in the road, culinarily speaking. The Spanish brought wheat with them, and it turned out to grow really well up in the northern parts of what's now Mexico. And from that wheat, the flour tortilla was born. It was totally different, softer, more flexible, made with fat like lard. And that became the base for things like burritos and quesadillas. It was a whole new tradition, completely separate from the ancient corn one.
So for thousands of years, making this masa dough was serious work. I mean, it was backbreaking, done by hand on a stone grinder called a mate. But then, the 20th century rolls around, and with it comes the Industrial Revolution, which changed the tortilla forever. Demand for tortillas just exploded, especially in the US. And so, industry stepped in. They built these massive machines that could do the work of hundreds of people. And get this, a modern machine can churn out 60,000 tortillas in a single hour. It's a world away from the slow, hands-on tradition.
And the engine behind this huge industrial shift was one key invention: dehydrated masa flour. You've probably heard of the most famous brand, Maseca. And look, it was a total game changer for convenience. All you had to do was add water. But, and it's a big but, that convenience came with a trade-off. You lost something. That rich, complex, earthy corn flavor of fresh masa, it just wasn't really there anymore. It's that classic dilemma, right? Modern efficiency versus ancient authenticity.
Which brings our story right back to where we started. In a way, the story's come full circle. Because today, there's this really cool movement happening. You've got chefs, small producers, even just people cooking at home, who are all looking backwards to revive those ancient traditions in our super modern world.
This revival is all about finding what got lost in that rush to industrialize. People are actually doing nixtamalization from scratch again. They're hunting down these amazing heirloom varieties of corn, blue corn, red corn, yellow, and each one tastes totally different. They're using those traditional volcanic stone grinders, the molinos, to make fresh masa. It's all about reconnecting with the real soul of this food.
Yeah, and this quote from a modern tortilla maker just says it all, doesn't it? It gets to the heart of the whole movement. For a lot of these people, doing it the old way isn't just because it tastes better. It's about memory. It's about identity. It's a way to connect back to your family, your heritage, to where you come from.
So, that leaves us with this one big question to chew on. I mean, think about the journey this food has been on. It's gone from being an Aztec emperor's spoon to being eaten by astronauts in space. It's incredible. So, in our world today, a world that is all about speed and convenience, what's the real value of holding on to a 3,000-year-old recipe? What does that tradition mean for us right now?